Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 410. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Family, buckle in today, guys. We have an amazing pair of guests on today, Mr. Mirthell and Rita Onyx from the Onyx Family. Now, if you haven't heard of the Onyx Family, go to onyxfamily.com. But let me give you a little info on them before we jump into today's show. Now, Rita and Mirthell decided to create a media company based around their family and their children. What they've done is no less than amazing. They have over 3 billion views and over 7 million followers on social media on all platforms. And the concept was, let's take a look at our Black family and what we do well and share it with the rest of the world. And as I just mentioned, the success has been amazing. It's a multi-million-dollar media business, and they actually use the talents of each of them, and they display them through the Onyx Family ecosystem of shows, products, and things of that nature. So make sure you tune in and grab your notepad. But before we get to today's episode, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, don't forget, make sure you check out BEB Academy, which is an online learning portal that has all types of resources and content to help elevate your entrepreneur IQ. From e-commerce content, how to start your business, form your LLC, marketing, finance, everything you need to grow a successful, sustainable business. And also, last but not least, today's show is sponsored by podcasterweekly.com. Make sure you go to podcasterweekly.com and sign up for their new newsletter. If you are interested in building a 6-figure podcast, this is the newsletter for you, podcasterweekly.com. Now, let's get ready for today's show. Guys, we are live today with Rita and Mirthell Onyx from Onyx Family. Thank you guys so much for joining me and sharing some time with the BEB family. How are you today?
We're doing good. Really well.
It is an honor to be here with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, guys, for people who aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself personally, and then we're going to jump into your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, my name is Rita, and this is my husband, Mirthell, and we have 4 beautiful children, and I used to be a nurse practitioner. My husband was a minister and a marriage and family therapist for 17 years, and now we work together as a family, and we have the Onyx Family brand, and we're in the media business, really. But personally, it's been an amazing journey. I think that to go from working 9 to 5, or for me, 7 to midnight as a nurse practitioner,
right?
Wow.
And then my husband, being a minister,
my time was a little bit more flexible. So we had made a commitment very early to homeschool our children. So they've always been homeschooled. I think maybe they've only been in regular school maybe a full year. Yeah. But that's it. They're all graduated except for our last one. And so during my time, I would be doing marriage and family therapy and I was a pastor. And a lot of my time, especially anyone that knows pastors, a lot of your time is dealing with the marriage and the family. And so that's the reason why I went and got the master's in science and marriage and family therapy, because I wanted to be comparable in being able to meet the needs, the basic needs of the church and the community. And but one of the things I found was that the quality time that we wanted to spend together and the things that we wanted to accomplish together as a family, I was teaching it to others, but I was not even able to fully practice it because she was working, and then I'd come home, then I'd leave when she came home so I could go do my thing. And fortunately, Rita always had an entrepreneur spirit, and she made the commitment at one time to just like launch and go for it. It happened to be YouTube at the time that we did it, and it was immediate success. It was amazing.
So I wanted to ask you real quick, because I understand what your why is. Was there one specific incident that made you guys say, you know what, the heck with it, we're going all in, or was it just something that had built up over time?
I think it was a buildup. I think that Rita had always felt a little bit of a restless spirit with the whole 9-to-5 type paradigm. And so she was constantly looking at different ideas, and she'd come to me and she'd say, you know, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? And we would actually do it. We would actually try these things. And until one day, as a nurse practitioner in Canada, because that's where I was, I'm born and raised in Toronto. And so she's from California, by the way. She's LA native.
Okay, cool.
And so one day when we were in Canada and I was doing the pastoring thing, she was working as a nurse practitioner with some medical doctors. They came to her and they asked her if she would be willing to join their team, launch out in Florida, and start a medical company. And it would be a nurse practitioner based medical company. And of course, that's another venue of being an entrepreneur, starting your own medical company. They promised her a certain amount of shares and all sorts of stuff. So we ended up going to Florida, and I left ministry and I left my marriage and family practice, and I joined her at that time. And so that's how it actually happened. We started with the medical company.
Oh, okay, cool. Now, the transition from the medical company to Onyx Family, how did that happen?
Well, as we were starting the medical company, basically, the doctors were all in Toronto and I was in Florida. They even sweetened the deal and said, Rita, we want to make you president. And I was like, wow, okay, I'll be the president of my own company. And like Mirthell said,
part of the reason why they made her president is because she was the only American.
I was the American, and it was so funny because like I thought, this is it. You know what? I found my calling, because I had so many jobs as a nurse practitioner, because I was always, like Mirthell said, I had a restless spirit and I was discontent, and I thought maybe I was just in the wrong field of nursing. And so I did everything that you could think of as a nurse practitioner. I taught, I was in clinics, I did nursing homes, I did the community, I did everything.
Nurse manager.
And so this pinnacle now where I'm the president of my own company, and I was like, okay, this must be it. And so as I'm working now, I'm trying to build it up. You know, you have to get credentialed with insurance companies. You got to do so much. So we couldn't even see patients for like a year because we were just doing all the background work. But during that time, I had several jobs as a nurse practitioner.
Just to keep the family going.
I was doing telemedicine. I was in the community. I was doing everything, and insurance. And I reached my boiling point. I was exhausted. I was tired. I have an old nursing back injury from when I was an RN. That it was aggravated because I was constantly stressed out. And I said to Mirthell, I'm like, I know we came here to Florida and I know you came here to support me, but I can't even do this. I can't do this. Wow. I said, I don't know what it is. I'm driving by Barnes and Noble and I was like, I'd rather work over there, because that's what I did when we were in college, when we were so young.
Our first job, we flipped burgers together in school.
Yes.
So we were married, and she ended up leaving there with my $4.25, and she went up. She went up to like, I think it was like
$5.25 at Barnes and Noble.
And I was just like, I've never been able to catch her. I mean, she's always made more than me. She's always made more.
Oh, that's funny.
That's like 25 years ago.
It was so funny because it was like about 25 years ago, and we were so excited at that $5.25. We were like, oh my goodness.
Falling.
So, yeah. And so I said to him, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And although I had been looking to see what people were doing, I also remembered that, I was looking on YouTube, I should say, and I saw these families working together. And I called the children into the room and I said, you know what, guys, I haven't been seeing you that much. I know I've been working constantly. What do you guys think if we try something like YouTube? Because I've seen these families work together. They seem to have a lot of fun doing these comedy sketches. What's the worst that could happen? We make some memories, we make some funny videos, and we get to spend some time together.
Right.
Now, I knew that some people were making a living off of it, but I had no idea how. I didn't know how people got paid. I didn't know anything. I just said, hey, let's just at least spend time together, and then whatever happens. Right. And so I learned as I went. And we started, this funny thing is, I didn't want to tell Mirthell at first because I was so scared.
Yeah.
Because
I left ministry. I left my practice.
For me to be a president of a medical company.
Not to
now
be
you're a YouTuber.
Not to be a clown on YouTube.
So
I had to go back to my mom to explain where all that money went for school.
So he walks in as I'm telling the kids, and he's just like, and I'm like, uh-oh. And he's like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, I was just thinking about, maybe creating some videos for YouTube. And he was like, okay, cool, let's go. Let's go get some costumes and stuff. And I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And literally, we just started from there. And
well, I really wanted something to do as well because I was Canadian. I did not have my landed status. I had just moved. And so all of that stuff was in process. So I was not even able to work. And a man, like, we have to do something with our hands. We gotta be working. We gotta be doing something. So when she gave me that option, it was an option I could take because I could actually work on YouTube without necessarily rectifying the whole immigration stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. That's great. Let me ask you. I've started a couple of businesses with my daughters, and a couple of them went well. But the focus. How did you get your kids to lock in and focus and commit to this vision that you had?
Well, I think that what was really helpful is that we made a commitment to homeschooling our kids at a very early age. So like I said, they've never really been in school, and they've always taken direction from us as far as what we're doing for homeschool. So we truly believe in homeschooling for all families, but not necessarily the way that people think. Not taking your kids out of school. Homeschooling is a mindset. And so we believe in the mindset that parents are responsible for educating their children. So you can send them off to school and have a teacher give them some type of formal education. But at the end of the day, you need to, when you're at home and you're with them, you need to be passing on values. You need to be passing on knowledge about how to make money, how to form a legacy. All of those things are our responsibility. And so we just had a little bit more time to do that because we didn't send them to school. And so we were able to instill things. So if I am giving them purpose by teaching them how to wash dishes at the age of like 5, 6, how to do laundry, and then age appropriate things as it goes by, they're accustomed to learning from us what education is and what needs to be next and what's important and what should be priority. So that's what happened. We basically said, hey, kids, and then they were like, yeah, let's do it,
But I also think that it was, young people, I think it blew up within the last few years especially, but I think around that time, young people were even more getting on YouTube. So it was something that they were interested in. I don't think that maybe if it had been another type of job, maybe we would have had more trouble. But at that point, it was like, cool, okay, let's do YouTube. I want to be a YouTuber.
They had their favorite YouTubers. And they were dreaming like they were going to be that YouTuber. So families have always worked together. And so it's such a perfect model when you're able to bond with your children, pass values, have fun, and at the same time be teaching them how to live life, to launch them.
The monetization, Rita, you had mentioned that, right? So when you started out, was there a specific monetization idea or platform, or did you just say, hey, let's go out and build this and we'll figure out what happens as it moves forward?
It's interesting because so much has changed over the last, I would say, 6 years since we started. I think back then there were, Instagram was not even where it was today. The more obvious choice for me was something like YouTube because I knew you get paid with AdSense. And what I wish I had done earlier was that I had started on all the social media platforms at the same time so that we could build up all of them. But at the time, we just decided to focus on YouTube because that's where I saw people actually, their lives were changing through that. So even though I focused on YouTube, I still wasn't quite sure like what happens when you do it. So part of it was learning as I go. Part of it was doing a whole lot of research as well to just see like, once you put a video up, like what do you do? Right. So it's funny because we put one video up, we got like about 9 views, and I'm like, well, where are the millions of views? I know there's millions of people on YouTube. What's going on? And that started my odyssey into doing, like I said, a lot of research, like how to make videos that are compelling, how to make thumbnails, how to do search engine optimization, how to title your videos, how to, like everything you could think of.
And I think we started in November of 2015, and after that had happened for the first, like November, December, January, she did research during those 3 months. And came back after the research, keyword optimizations, all the algorithms, all that kind of stuff. She'd come back and talk to me about it in bed, and I'll just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But
go ahead, right?
Yeah, and then she's go ahead, do your thing. Let's pray. Let's pray over it. And then we relaunched in March with her research, and when we relaunched, she knocked it out of the park.
Wow.
We knocked it out of the park, but under her leadership. It was incredible. I think that we got a viral video. We got monetized within that same month.
Wow.
We did so well.
Well, back then you could actually be monetized immediately. You didn't have to wait for 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 hour watch time.
Yeah. And the first time we looked, when we saw our first paycheck, it was like $26,000 for 1 month, and we're just like, what?
Ooh, that's nice.
And then the next month it was 125,000, and then the following month was like 175,000, and then
it just kept going and going from there.
Just it was just incredible.
Correct. So speaking of that, the monetization aspect, I see you guys have a major ecosystem. So, and I apologize for not asking you this earlier. Tell the BEB family exactly what your platform is about, and obviously we know why you started it. So you guys have books, you got YouTube, you got courses. I mean, it's a plethora of a beautiful ecosystem. But tell them what's the message that the Onyx family is sending? What do you want people to get from that? And if you can just kind of break down some of the different components of your ecosystem.
So our mission is to tell the story, feed the soul, make them laugh, heal the heart. And so, we've always had a broad mission to touch the world through the lens of family. And that's kind of like, that has been my world. And so as we started entertaining, we realized that everything is better done through entertainment. And that's just a nugget that I'll give for free. If you have to sell, yourself as a dentist, if you have to sell education, don't just educate, don't just talk, make people laugh. Entertain them. Do it. Some of the most profound people are comedians who can take such a deep topic like politics or religion or deep pain and hurt, make you laugh and say it in the most profound ways.
Right.
And so we realized, we can actually heal the heart, heal homes, make the world a better place from our vantage point, emphasizing the importance of family through entertainment. And so that's kind of like what we do.
Right. So we built our Onyx Family brand on YouTube, and from there we expanded into Onyx Kids so that the children would have a place where you can see children who related to you. Our kids are a little older now, but at the time they were a lot younger, and they were able to. One of our missions was to have more Black kids in entertainment, because you don't see that really on mainstream, and to just have them be able to just to see themselves and just laugh. And there are a lot of I take issue sometimes with the fact that there's a lot of like trauma shows and things for Black people, but for kids there's not a lot of just Can I just watch
laugh.
Black people, Black families, Black kids just
don't politicize it.
No politicizing.
No Black Lives Matter.
Just enjoying, something that they can smile and relax. Life is hard.
Definitely.
Just let them relax. And that was one of the things that we wanted to do. And then
also to have the kids live vicariously through us, because when we grew up, we understand that our community is just ladled with a lot of things, a lot of issues.
Right.
And the Cosby Show is such a wonderful time where we could all sit down and just take it in and live like, hey, I have a doctor as a father. Hey, I have a mother who's a lawyer. I'm living in a brownstone,
Brooklyn.
I'm living in Brooklyn, even though you're not. And so we understood the value of that because we went through it ourselves, and so we knew that there are going to be kids that are going to live vicariously through us. They're going to be going through all sorts of stuff in their lives, but they're going to be able to sit down and just be a part of the Onyx family and live through us.
Right. And so after we started to gain a lot of views, currently we have over, can I say that, how many subscribers we have?
Yeah, most definitely.
We have over 7 million subscribers across our platforms and over 4 billion views on our content. And when we started, I don't think I could have ever imagined it would be that big, because I was originally doing it for my family, like, oh, let's at least, create these memories. And the mission was there, but I didn't know that it would grow to this level. But when you have that platform, you have that responsibility. We decided to really stay like, well, what are other ways that we can also reach our audience? And so we decided to self-publish books and
And we also wanted to make sure that the parents that wanted their kids to read a little bit more, we wanted to support literacy.
Right.
So that if they're like, oh, turn off the TV like our parents used to tell us.
Right.
It's like they still have an option for their kids to be reading and then be able to be more, better at their reading.
Right.
Definitely.
But one of the things that we've also really emphasized with our kids was to look at each person's look at each person's gifts and model and do something within that gifting, because we feel like it was there for a reason. So one of our daughters is very much into music. So what we did was we encouraged her to really go in that as another branch of the brand, but also to make sure that she's living out her purpose as well, her broader purpose. So that actually turned into her doing musical skits and sketches on our channel. But then what that turned into was when we now have made an animation, Onyx Monster Mysteries, which is our cartoon, she wrote the theme song and all of the episodes, all the music for all the episodes for 2 seasons.
And got all the rights to it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
And so we do stuff like that. We are able to now parlay their gifts within the brand, and they're able to, because one of our goals is to make sure that they never feel that they have to only do one thing within the brand. Like, that's about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is to discover and branch off and branch out, I should say, not off, but and continue to build the brand together. And so that was another way that we reached our audience through music. Another one was another daughter. She's very much into health. And so she created a health brand. Now, being a nurse practitioner, I love the fact that she's into health, because it's a way that we can reach our audience, especially young kids. We have a lot of health leaders within the adult space, but not necessarily for the younger generation. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we are always at the forefront of the newest trends, technology, things like that. But then also, like Mirthell said, on a more wide base, people love food, and Mirthell is really into. He's such a good cook. He's such, like, I always call him my personal chef because he's so good. So we also have a brand where we're reaching people through food,
Right. And so I had a.
You want to invite me over to dinner, man? You want to invite me over to dinner for the show? I saw that, man. The food's looking good, bro. All right, my man. Where you guys based out of?
Right now we're in Los Angeles.
We're in Los Angeles.
I just came back from LA last week. So next time.
Yes.
There you go. But cool. we fortunate. We transitioned to a vegan lifestyle several years back. I'm the struggling one, on and off. I'd say 90%, plant-based. But I'll fix these vegan meals, but I'll do it in our flavor as an African American community.
That's what's up.
And I remember I had the privilege of being on Dr. Oz, where he featured one of my dishes, which is like a shrimp boil.
Wow.
But it was a vegan shrimp boil.
Man.
So, yeah. So just encouraging us as black men, and especially as black men, but the entire family, that we have unique health challenges. And so giving different kind of options so that you don't have to give up your culture, but you can continue to eat good, but eat good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing, I want the light bulb to go off to all the BEB family here for a minute. I just want to digress for a second. You guys talked really about building a platform, and everything else is coming off of that platform. And that's why I always talk on the show about the importance of building a platform. Now, once you build the platform, there's so many different ways to monetize and connect with your audience, just as you guys have done based on what your audience wants. And I tell people, your audience will tell you what they want from you. Oh, man, can you talk about this a little bit? Can you do a children's book? Can you talk about cooking or whatever? And without the platform, the foundation of that, it's very hard to make consistent income. So I always use the example of Amazon Prime Day, right? I said, all Amazon is doing is promoting to their database. Okay. I said, you can create Prime Days with your business. If you build your platform and your database, hey, today we're doing a sale on whatever. And guess what? Your audience is big enough, you're going to make money. So it's cool to make money on the one-offs, but if you can build a platform, the monetization opportunities are endless. And so I really want that light bulb to go off to the BEB family and look at what Mirthell and Rita are doing. And what I really love about it, guys, is I talk about your genius, which I call the intersection of your passion and your talent. And you're allowing your children to express themselves and also learn how to build a business and affect other people in a positive manner. And I also want to commend you guys, too, because in terms of the black family structure right now, a lot is going on, a lot of single parents raising kids. I just think it's so paramount if mothers and fathers, can stay together, because it makes a big difference with the kids. People may think, no, it doesn't. It makes a big difference. They need that balance, that yin and that yang from the parents, and build a solid foundation. And it's so funny. I looked at some of my oldest daughter, actually, and my youngest daughter's friends in college. They, went to pretty good, colleges, and they said, Dad, most of our parents' families are, they're still together. I mean, and I was like, yeah. I said, not that. I'm a single parent family. My parents got divorced when I was little. I've been blessed though. But I said, just the foundation that it brings. And I just look at my girls come to me for certain things, but other things they go on to mom, right? So, and being able to have that option. So I want to give you guys kudos. Continue to spread that narrative and image. It's cool. And it is cool to be a 2-parent household and to love and teach your kids, man, because this is the stuff that we need to balance the garbage that we see on TV and in music and things of that nature, man. So, man, oh man, it's super. I'm super proud of you guys. I just met you, but I'm proud of you for what you're doing and what you're showing.
Well, people. I really appreciate it's 24 years now this year. 24 years, and you already heard our beginnings. So you hear a lot of gurus. You hear a lot of gurus out there. Hey, what does he make? He doesn't make enough. Go get yourself a good quality man, or all these stuff is out there.
I mean, the high quality, high value. That's the word.
I cook for my wife. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Yep.
I've always held down the job for, until we transitioned to entrepreneurship. I have no problem being under her leadership when it comes to money, because God has given her the gift of being able to make money. So we complement each other very well. And then I have such respect for persons like yourself, because my wife, she was raised by her grandparents. You know, she wasn't raised by her mom and dad. Her mom and dad were young when they had teenagers.
I was actually going to say that, like, one of my motivations to make sure that our family stays together is because I did not have that. Yes, my grandparents were together, but there's still a hole there. You know, if I cringe every time Mother's Day or Father's Day comes around, and I don't want my family to ever go through that. Right. So my parents were teenagers when they had me. They were not married, and then my mom, she became, after me, she started getting into drugs, and so I saw her only a handful of times in my life. My dad, he moved to get his degrees and move on with his life. So I was raised by my grandparents on my dad's side. And, there's that feeling where I would look at these other intact families and I would wonder, what is it like? What is it like to have your mother and your father? And I have a bunch of half brothers and sisters, but I was like, what is it? And I hate to say the word half, but meaning like,
no, I just, get you.
Yeah. I just didn't know what that felt like because I didn't grow up with any of them. And so for me to be able to see my children interact as siblings, and it's funny because I get super sensitive if I feel like there's any tension. I'm always like, is everything okay? Is everything okay? They're like, Mom, relax. This is just how siblings are.
How it works.
But I receive what you say, and I give a compliment back to you that I am so proud to see a father like you so involved. And that's what we can be proud of as a black community. Listen, we didn't choose this path. This path came to us. And I love how our black community has come together, where grandparents will jump in if they have to, where strong women will stand up and be that one family, both men and women, or a father like yourself will stand in the gap. And then we have examples of divorced parents working together to say it might not have worked for us, but you know what, we're going to work together.
And I always wanted to make sure that I was present, and I was always there with my kids so they know, hey, Dad is here. You guys touched on something real earlier. You talked about the ability to be in your kids' lives and be there for them. And I think one of the biggest factors for me was creating some type of passive income where I could be at all of my kids' football games. I mean, no, they didn't play football. My girls didn't play, but field hockey, soccer, gymnastics, their educational stuff. And one of my greatest things I tell people is, they asked me, what's one of your greatest accomplishments? I said, not missing one field hockey game for my daughters. One was in 9th, one was in 12th. I went to all the home games, all the away games, all the scrimmages, all the AAU games, Florida, wherever it was. And that was a blessing for me to be able to be present. So my kids knew, hey, Dad is here. I'm a constant. And that's something that entrepreneurship gave me. My kids' friends, they said, does your dad work? Oh, yeah, my dad works. He makes good money. But I was there. And that's what entrepreneurship did for me. I always wanted to be present so my kids know that dad is always there.
Absolutely.
I wanted to touch real quick, guys, on branding, right? And you guys we had mentioned earlier, how can black families build their own online brand or business? What is your thoughts on some of those, on that question?
Well, it's funny. I get that question a lot because, people see what we've done and they're just like, how do I do it? And my thought always is first, like, assess your family. And like, for example, I say that though, but I also say be adventurous and try different things, because prior to this, as a nurse and a pastor, I would have never thought we would make comedy. So I say, that assess your family, and I just say try different things. Look at the gifts, though, and the talents that you guys have and your skill sets, and then see where does that fall. Where would that be better online? So, for example, we have a friend, her daughter is a chef, and she has had her other children start to get into the cooking world. Then focus on something around that area. I think a lot of times we look at what other people do and we say, okay, I have to do that. I have to do exactly what they did. And so we get people who are like, they're going to be the next, Onyx family. But it's more like it's individual to you. So the way I see it is you look at your family, you look at your skill sets and your talents, and then you start to explore how to now put yourself out there and what your audience responds to. I think nowadays, like for us, we chose the word Onyx because when we were first starting, I wanted something that represented what I felt my family was. I looked at my family and I said, they are my jewels. And because Onyx is always related usually to black, I said,
right.
That's why I created the Onyx family. But for now, I would say for most people, like put your name out there as, let's say if you're the Johnson family, and start showing your life. I think that it's so much easier than even six family, and you come online and create a brand. I think that one of the best things to do is to don't overthink it, just start. Show them what you already are about in your life, because chances are you have something that you're already doing. Then build from there, and don't think that you're going to know all the steps prior. Like, you have a roadmap, but that roadmap is very loose.
Right.
The way that life is does not. It just does not always go according to plan. That's for sure.
We were helping Matthew McConaughey promote one of his books, the last book that came out. And he had a really profound idea that talked about
green lights.
And he talked about his mom told him about like the object lesson of an arrow and a target.
Right.
And he considered himself the target in a sense that he doesn't go out looking for opportunities. He allows opportunities to come to him.
Okay.
We had our cartoon. My children were sitting around the table with the producers of the Proud Family. The producer of the Proud Family was on our project.
Wow.
And they were able to, my daughter, these are now her heroes. She's sitting at the table writing with the writing team.
That's amazing.
My other daughter is creating music for that. And so what God is saying to us, we're people of faith, he will bring the opportunities to us. And so what our faith believes, that's why we keep on talking about your God-given gifts. God has placed things in you. Honor that. Honor what he's given you. Because when you honor that, he will draw the opportunities to you, and he'll put you in high places you could not have dreamed of. And that's what faith is. Faith is seeing the things in advance before they even come. And when they come, you're happy, but you're not overly surprised because that's the God we serve.
My goodness. Man, I was going to ask you guys a question about a time that you struggled or had setbacks. How did you get over it, and what did you learn? You kind of mentioned it, foreclose your house, a car, and all that type of stuff. Talk to me about the mindset that it took from you guys, because I know I almost lost it all twice myself, so I kind of know how it goes. But talk to me about the mindset and what got you through that situation or situations like that.
Man, it's funny because I think that when you go through those situations, there's a lot of personal lessons that you learn about who you are as a person. And during that time, you would think that we would have had money. I was working as a nurse. I don't even think I was I was a nurse practitioner at that point. He was a minister, marriage and family therapist, but life is just hard.
It was complicated.
Sometimes, you just can't get ahead. And because of my discontent with my working, I never stayed at a job long enough to really be able to build. I always had some reason, some excuse. Well, no, Mirthell, I can't work here. I can't work there, because, this is happening. Or sometimes it was out of my control. I went and got a job at this hospital, not knowing that they had financial issues and the hospital closed within a few months.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
It was like some things were out of my hand. Some things were because of me. And what happened was it got to the point when we got to a head where also he was working in Toronto and we were in Buffalo at the time.
So I had to cross a border every single day to go to work.
And
my goodness.
And I was making money Canadian, and the Canadian dollar
was low.
It had went down to like 70 cents.
Right.
So once you transfer with banks and everything, I'm making like 60 cents on the dollar.
So we just could not keep up. So we made the decision, okay, you know what? We're going to have to just make some radical decisions. So the first mindset is now you when you realize that you have nowhere to go except, because you're at rock bottom.
Right.
It's time to make radical decisions and change up everything, because what you're doing is obviously not working. And so for a time, Mirthell had to, what I did was I applied for a job, and I decided I was going to help my grandparents for a bit in Texas where they were. And during that time, I had also applied to be a nurse practitioner in Toronto. We were just going to relocate to Toronto so that we can be closer to where he was working, and I could just somehow be able to maybe build up from there. But what I didn't know was that it was going to take a year. And during that year, I still needed to work. So I decided to now go and help my grandparents down south. And I got a job kind of immediately, able to build up. And then I was able to make decisions now, like, okay, what do I want to do? Now I told Mirthell, I said, hun, I really want to be serious. I'm going to make sure I stay at this job. And, I want to make sure I change my whole mindset on this, because I really like the fact that we're now able to build up. And he was like, hun, you fulfilled what you wanted to do. Now it's time for us to come back together in Toronto. But I was so scared because we had just lost our house. We had a car repossessed. I was scared to now leave this job that I was doing so well at, go back to Toronto, because now it was like, okay, this is only supposed to be for a time. And one of our biggest values was making sure our family is together. So I was only gone for about 4 months, but I was so nervous about money. I was almost about to say, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to stay down here. But what happened was, see, this is how God works. I had no clue, again, that I was in a job that was about to get bought out. So I was over there working. This job gets bought out. And
but before it got bought out, you made the decision that you were going to come back.
Yes, I did make the decision I was going to come back. But I started to see, it was based off of principle. It's very true. I knew that I needed to go, but I also saw my decision validated by when I started to see where things were going. So definitely I did a lot of praying and a lot of introspection again. And I said, it's more important for me to have my family together. So I said, Mirthell, and the funny thing is that job was trying to get me to stay. They were even saying, we'll hire your husband to be like a chaplain.
Wow.
They were doing everything for us to go down there. But inside we knew that, at the time his calling was to make sure that he was, we knew his calling was to be a church minister in Toronto. And so we decided to come together as a family.
And as soon as she came back, she decided to come back, even though she was going to be in my mom's basement. She didn't know where she was going to work because her license didn't go through. And the week that she came back, she got a call saying her license went through.
In Toronto.
She had a job.
The job was paying more. Yeah, a few days later.
The job was paying more than the job that she had left.
Yes,
wow.
A few days later I got a call.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Within the year, that's when the doctor said, hey, would you like to start a medical company?
In Florida.
And then she was able to leave. So she came back to be able to get greater.
Exactly.
And so sometimes what we realize is that sometimes God is trying to accomplish something in our lives where we're hitting rock bottom because he wants to redirect us and he needs access to our hearts. And when things are going well, that's usually when we're not able to hear him so well. But when things are going bad, our ears are in tune to what he has to say. And so so when we hit rock bottom or when we're hitting life-changing situations, we start getting excited. There's a part of us, let's keep it real. There's a part of us that gets excited because we know that God is about to do something, and all we need to do is go on his frequency. Where have we strayed off of our values? Where have we strayed off of the path that, we felt impressed? And at that point in time, that's when we ended up going to Florida. That's when we ended up having YouTube, and things went up from there. So sometimes things go up from rock bottom.
That's amazing. I wanted to ask you guys, because I talked about this in one of my books. So as a man, Mirthell, and the head of the household, how did you feel when things went awry? You lost your house, your car, you guys had to split up. Talk to me about that, because I know from a man's perspective, it's tough. And what did your family and friends say to you? I'm curious about that.
Man, I remember one time I was at the church and I was preaching and Rita was crying. This is after she came back now.
Right. No, it was before.
Oh, no, it was before. Sorry, before she left.
Yeah.
And she was crying. It's because we had no gas in the car. And I was preaching my heart out, but they thought she was crying because of the sermon, but she was crying because she didn't know how we were going to leave that parking lot. And so I can't say that I always shook hands all the way down to the end, but this time we shook everybody's hand. Everybody left.
Right.
Because we needed the parking lot empty. So that when I turned that key, you know, we could figure things out. Well, there was just enough gas to get to the bank. When we got to the bank, my account was in the negative, and I had to beg the bank officer to please. My paycheck is in there. You see it. It's just that I can't get it because it's trying to make up for the negative, and they were going to make it full on Monday, on a business day for processing. But I begged him. I said, just $20 so I can get home, please. And he gave me that. So these are the kind of situations. And I like to share these kind of things because people need to understand that we are ordinary, average people who were struggling. We did everything right. We got our education. We did everything right. But the system sometimes is against the average person.
But not only that, because my thing is not, I didn't do everything right. I did do.
Well, we didn't do anything.
You know, it's a combination. It's a combination of the system. It's a combination of me trying to find myself. It's a combination of me just now not making always the best choices. It's a combination of all these things why a lot of times why you get into situations and you could and then there are situations where you feel like you could do everything perfectly, because even when I got the job, I'm like, look at me, I'm so responsible, and then next thing you know, it's getting like bought out, you know, so it's nothing that I did.
And it's important for us to be very transparent with our audience when we talk, because what's the point if we're not lifting each other up to let them know, hey, we were right there. This is how you get through. You know, sometimes you get through not because you deserve it. You get through because of mercy, or, you know, you get through because you repented and you figured out what you did wrong so that you can be trusted with more.
Exactly.
So it's like.
But the thing is, like I want to say, because the point is not to bash anybody that makes a mistake. You just understand that sometimes you do make mistakes, but it's not too late.
Right.
You do make mistakes, and you can be restored. You can recover. That day that we got our car repossessed, the interesting thing about that was we were going to move into Toronto, and we were going to drop off the car because we couldn't take it. We had brought it in New York, so we couldn't like take it across the border. We could no longer pay for it. We wanted to do the right thing, so we called them and we said, "Listen, we're having all these." Problems. They were trying to, they put us into collections, and we said, listen, we're going to drop off the car at this lot in order for you to pick it up.
And we didn't have to, because we're in Canada. We could have
just ran off with it.
But we wanted to work on
it. So what we did was we did that. But on the way in, was it on the way in?
On the way in, we stopped off at a car dealership because we knew that we only had the small matrix.
And we had 6 people in the car. So
when I'd go to preach on the weekends, I would have to get out of the car. Rita would get in the driver's seat because we couldn't go across the border with 6 people or else they'll call the cops. So I'd get out of the car every single weekend, and I would walk across the Rainbow Bridge and catch the view of the falls every weekend.
Wow.
And then I'd get back in the car on the other side. I'd have to show my passport as a person that's walking across the border, show my passport, and then I'd jump back in the car, and then we'd pray that the policemen would not stop us on the highway as I was going to church. And we'd cramp up in a matrix, 6 of us.
Because the car that we had gotten repossessed was our van that did fit all of us.
Right.
So then what happened was we give up the car, but we see this lot in Toronto, and we're like, you know what? We have to maybe trade in this matrix and see if we can get a van again, because there's only 5 seats. So we go in there.
We weren't sure what our credit was.
Yeah, because this is Canada. I'm not Canadian, so I wasn't sure, like, why do I have credit out here? Well, how does it even work?
Right.
But at the end of the day, we were blessed that day with 2 cars.
6-seaters.
That were cheaper than what we had put in, the repossessed
and
car.
And nicer. Both cars were nicer than the cars we had.
And so when we did the right thing, and we put the other car that we had been so behind in, and we traded we were in Toronto, now we're trading in the car that we actually do own, and we're able to now get 2 now where we could now all together as a family. We already saw God starting to just turn things around for us.
So in business
right away.
or in personal, live with integrity.
Yeah.
You must live with integrity. When we made that 26,000 and then 100,000, and we've made millions upon millions since we've started, we've paid everyone back in the very first amount of money that we received. The first thing we did is paid all of our debt because we didn't believe in just walking away from it. Now, we realized that tax season that wasn't very smart to pay everything off right away because we started learning about taxes and good debt and, you know, and things, how you can leverage debt and things like that. So we got hit with a hefty tax fee because we never made that kind of money. But, you know, we learned our lesson. But just to speak about your thing, the hardest time for me was not even so much when I lost everything. It was when I lost my purpose. Because, you see, a man is made to have purpose and to work. So it wasn't when I was losing. That's not was the hard part. It's when I walked away from my ministry and my practice. And I was sitting in, you know, Florida having nothing to do, and I'm driving her, and she's working.
And he knows I hate it.
And I always have worked. I've always worked. Even when she wasn't working, I always was working. I was always bringing in.
Yes, Rita, I understand that this is not your calling. We've been through this too many years. Because I had begged him, like, please, I just know that this is not for me, you know, this for you. Right. But he's like, Rita, you got your degree. We have 4 children. Come on, it's the responsible thing to do. What else are you going to do? But I didn't know at the time anything else to do, so I kept going.
Right.
Finally, when we're in Florida and we see, like, our media business starting to really take off, he says, yes, you know. It's not like, I mean, I could have, but I wanted to show him the respect of asking, because I had brought him down to Florida under being president of the medical company. So I didn't feel like just turn around and just say, okay, well, now I'm going to stop. It was another thing that I was just like, you know, listen, you called it. You were right. Thank God for rescuing us with this other business that we're just starting, because at the time we still didn't know where it was going. So it was still another risk by saying, yes, Rita, go ahead. Now, the thing I had told the people that the doctors I was working with, I said, listen, because we hadn't started seeing patients yet. We were still doing all the background. I said, we were getting very close. And I said, listen, what I would like to do is hire someone to do the actual patient care, and I'll help with the administration. And they were so used to calling the shots. I was supposed to be an equal partner, and I was supposed to be the president, right? But why were they having meetings before our meeting? It was like, you know, they were basically thinking like, you know, she's the one that doesn't have the money. She's the one that's going to be going out. We're going to call all the shots.
So it made her feel like it was just a 9 to 5.
Yeah, it was like,
with the
I didn't feel like I was really working for myself. So I decided, like, well, you know, now that we actually have this other company going, I wasn't going to drop the medical company, but I wasn't going to go out and see patients. But they were like, no, you said you were going to see the patients, and it became a thing where they were like, no, you're reneging on the deal. And I said, well, we haven't even started. I mean, I think we should be able to explore other ways of getting this done. And they were like, you know what, why don't you just sell your shares back? And I was like, okay.
That'll work.
Now, they didn't know that we had the money, but by that time we had already started making money on YouTube. So it wasn't even a problem. It was just like, here
you go. And then they were upset because I agreed to that. They were like, well, we can't believe that you did that so quickly and easily. And I'm like, you guys were unwilling to work with me. Exactly. You know, I told you that I've started this company with my kids. I've been out here over a year. You guys didn't give me $1, dollar to help me sustain myself. I'm doing all these other jobs as a nurse practitioner as I'm building up this business that you guys said you were going to help me build. But what you guys really did is you stayed in Toronto. I was out here in Florida doing everything. And I said, I'm exhausted. And now that I want to, right before we start, say, okay, now let's actually hire someone who can actually go and see the patients. I was willing to take a cut of my own personal money that I was going to start bringing in from the company. But the reality was, people don't like when you start having the ability to call the shots.
And the truth is, it was their entrepreneurship venture. It wasn't ours. We were just having a high-paying job.
Exactly.
And one thing that you will learn when you are branding and when you're establishing your own company, don't get caught up with money and the high-paying.
Right.
Because you can have a high-paying job, but then you can get fired if it's a job. And when we first got on YouTube, that's kind of what happened. We were getting a lot of money, like we shared with you. But we realized quickly that we needed to brand. We needed to come up with our own brand. It wasn't good enough to just have a YouTube channel. We need to establish ourselves. And the reason why we're doing well today is because we established a platform, we established a brand, and now we're working with multiple companies. We've gotten calls from Dr. Fauci at the height of the pandemic, who said they wanted to help us bring the news out to the community how we can stay safe, because they saw that we were already doing that with, like, songs about hand washing. Biden team and them called us to rock the vote when things were getting a little shady.
I know you guys do coaching also. And when I talk to some of my coaching students that are trying to transition from employee to entrepreneur, and I'm not, everybody's situation is different. So I'm not going to say, hey, quit your job today and just go, do it. You got to do it strategically. But when I did an article, it's called Pacified by a Paycheck. So there's so many great entrepreneur minds out there, businesses that could be multi-million-dollar businesses that never get started because people are pacified by that paycheck. And I think God allows us to become accustomed to things, some good things and some bad things. But if you are accustomed to a paycheck every week or 2 weeks, that's fine. But you can also be accustomed to generating your own revenues. And I think walking that tightrope and understanding that you will get accustomed to this once you jump in and commit yourself to it. And I think that people are scared to do that because they may know that they're not going to fulfill their true destiny or follow their dreams, but they're satisfied enough or pacified enough that this paycheck is going to keep me from where God wants me to be. And that's something I always pray. I don't pray for my kids for money. I always pray for them to live in their genius, the gifts that God has given them, utilize those. My oldest daughter right now, she's working at a company that's going to remain nameless, but they're going through some financial stuff. And she used to be in the entertainment business. She used to live out in L.A. And my oldest daughter, and she's like, oh, I can't stand my job. I meet with my manager today. It's just hectic. And I was like, I've been telling you for the last year and a half what you should have been doing, building up your business on the side so you don't have to sit here and take this. I'm going to tell you, Rita, you had mentioned something. You sound like my sister. We might be the same. We might be related because I would go into jobs. I'm telling you, I would go into jobs and the cycle would happen. Something's wrong with this job. This guy is an idiot. I'm smarter than him. How is he making this much money? And I'm like, and my wife was like, dude, you're not an employee. Okay. You have to come to the realization. Yeah.
You're a boss.
I'm a boss. And the cycle kept going on. And I said, I know that. I said, are you cool with that? She's like, I don't have any choice. This is what you are. And I was like, all right, so let's rock with it. Let's see what happens. But if you find yourself, and I see it in my oldest daughter, she's good for a minute when the job is new and it's exciting. But then when she settles down, man, I don't particularly care. Because you're supposed to be doing something else. And so, it's crazy. So when we were telling those stories, I was like, man, we might be related, sis.
Are your people from the Carolinas? She's from the Carolinas.
Oh, you know what? My mother, my grandmother and grandfather are from South Carolina, from right outside of Charleston, South Carolina. My father's parents are from Philadelphia. So my mom, when she migrated up after high school, she met my dad in Philly, and that's where we were. But it's so funny because I can, people are restless. And like you said, I think you said restless soul. Yeah. Yes. I think that's what you said about Rita. Yeah. Because she knows that she's supposed to be doing something else. And you also talked about, your purpose, your ministry. And I think what people don't understand is that when you're living in your genius, man, you can't even describe it. When you wake up every day doing what God has assigned you to do, man, just tell people what that feels like. I want both of you guys to say, what does it feel like living in your genius, waking up doing what you're assigned to do? Because this is something I want the BEB family to listen to, because this is where you need to aspire to be.
When I was working, by Thursday, I would get real happy. The weekend's coming.
Right.
And then Friday, I couldn't wait, as soon as I was done charting or whatever, I'm done. And I knew Saturday, okay, phew. But, it's funny because it was kind of like a work day because he was a minister and we go to church on Saturday. So it was like, now we go to church, but at least I wasn't at work. And then by Sunday, I was already feeling tension. By Saturday night, I was already feeling tension because I knew that Monday was coming. Like, that is no way to live. Yep. That you every week are just so tense when you know you're about to go to work. That I just felt like the joy of life was gone. Now, I feel like no matter what happens, I might have some really bad days as an entrepreneur. You know, those days where you start to doubt everything. But it is no comparison to feeling like, what am I doing in my life when I was working as a 9-to-5 as a nurse practitioner? This feels like, okay, you're having hardship. You're having, the days where you have like highs that you could have never dreamed of and lows where you're going, what is going to happen? But it all feels exhilarating. It feels like I feel probably the comparison is to maybe when someone is competing in sports and you have those times where maybe you get knocked down or you fall, you skin your knee or something, but then you make a goal. Like, that's how I feel. Or, like that's how I feel like it's a sport.
Yeah, come back after 30 points down.
Yeah, like you come back and then you win.
Just like
that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the legacy. The thing about legacy is that when you have an entrepreneurship, everything that you do, every struggle, every meeting, everything that you do is working towards the legacy of your family. But when you work for somebody else, everything that you do is working towards their legacy and their family. So if you work for a company, guess who you're building? Their children's wealth, that man's wealth, or that woman's wealth. When you work for yourself, as little as it may be or as much as it may be, everything that you do from the time you wake up in the morning, you're building towards your own legacy.
It's a benefit. I'm only going to hold you guys. I got 2 more questions real quick. First question is, in terms of the money, how do you divvy it up with the kids? Are they on salary or I was just curious about that.
Oh, it's funny because when we first started, one of the things that I immediately made sure that we did when we incorporated was that everybody was an owner of the company on the book, so that they knew that they were working for it themselves. They weren't just working to build up mommy and daddy's bank account. That they were building a company for themselves and for their children as well and their families. So the way it is that, we obviously have accountants and everybody gets paid. First of all, taxes is like a bad word in our family now, because I can't say you pay it. And then the moment you pay it, you're now already building for the next one. It's ridiculous. So we do have accountants to make sure that everybody is doing that. We have everybody getting paid, for salary, and that everything's good with taxes and all of that, because I never wanted them to have to sit there and worry and have what I've seen so many other wealthy people go through in terms of like tax issues or children who have been working and, their parents have the money. We wanted to do things differently from the get-go. Right. And so that's what we've structured so that we're all able to benefit as a family and doing it the right way.
Now, that makes a lot of sense.
We say kids, but they're not really kids. They're like 23 this year, 22, 18, 15.
Well, about the time when we started, they were like teenagers.
They were teenagers.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's
adults,
cool.
They're really adults. They literally decided like 4 years back that they were not going to go to university. They got accepted into the University of choice.
Our alma mater.
Which was such a relief for me, because I was wondering, am I going to be a failure at this or not? They got in and, they were able to do their, ACTs, SATs, all that stuff, and they were able to get in. But they chose not to go because they really wanted to be able to work on their, entrepreneurship ventures. And so they said, Mom and Dad, beautiful. I don't really want to, I really don't want to go. I want to work on our business.
And the beautiful thing about that is they have options. So you guys provided them the opportunity to be able to do that. You know what I mean? So you got the resources, follow your dreams, your passions. And it's funny, I'm looking at these college bills that my wife and I have for my 2 daughters. One graduated from Duke and the other University of Virginia. Ooh. And literally, and I told them, so if you go into grad school, it's on you guys, because we took care of all of that. I said, we'll do that. But, the money that we had to spend to do that, invest in it, I'm just like, man, I said, if I had that, I could have bought another house somewhere, right? Somewhere, even in L.A., maybe the hills or something with some of that. But I was like, man. But my oldest is an entrepreneur. She's not quite ready yet. She's going to probably make the jump, and my youngest eventually may make the jump. I think they got to get beat up by corporate a little bit to understand, this versus that. And and I'm like, yeah, go ahead and get your hard skills, leverage other people's resources. Then when you're ready to jump, go ahead and do that. Don't let them just use you. You use them also.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. The last question I wanted to ask you guys, and I'll do ladies first, so it's going to give Mirthell time to figure out his answer. But if you had the opportunity to have a conversation with one person, living or dead, Rita, who would it be and why?
Oh, man, that is amazing. I love that question because we ask ourselves that question sometimes, each other that question. And it's funny. It's going to sound cliche, but I really would like a chance to talk to Oprah because for me, being a dark-skinned Black woman in this entertainment space, she has been such a model of building from nothing, a model of living and moving with purpose and switch the model. At the time, I know if you remember, there was Jenny Jones and there was Donahue and there was all these people. And for her to say, like, no, I don't want to do trash. I want to actually build up people and uplift people. And then to see her being blessed like that, to see her thrive like that. And then on top of that, to really build all these wonderful brands, because I'm very much into how to, continue to further our brand. So it's like I admire the fact how she was able to, take that talk show and have, her magazine, have her channel, have her, her network, period. And so for me, being in this entertainment space, being a dark-skinned Black woman, and even being on the bigger side now after having all these kids, I just feel like she's a really great model. So I know a lot of people will be like, oh, there's other people. But for me in this space, it fits for me to be able to meet and talk with her.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. How about you, Mirthell?
Maybe this is also cliche, especially for a minister, but the person.
If you say Jesus, Mirthell.
Well, the person was.
I've got that answer.
Once alive, then dead, now alive again. Yeah. So they're both dead and then living again. And I know, honestly, I truly look, she's the money person. I'll just be honest with you. She truly is a money person. And my focus has always been really, surrounding around mission. And so when you're looking at mission, you have to, every single family that is in entrepreneurship needs to look at short-term plans and they need to look at long-term plans. You need to be knowing your mission statement is the thing that you're doing today that will accomplish your vision statement. And your vision statement is what is in the future. And no company, no brand, no person will ever be able to make it unless you have a good vision, which is long-term. Now, some people's long-term is, maybe 10 years. But I always challenge people to go beyond 10, go beyond 20. Go now 100 years from now. Go now 1,000,000 years from now. Where are you going to be? Where are you going to be?
Wow.
What are you going to be doing in 1,000,000 years? What are you going to be doing in 2,000,000 years, in 1,000,000,000,000 years? You messed up, or you could be wanting to start a company and you have not, and you don't feel like you have what it takes, and you feel like you're at rock bottom. I know that you can take yourself from rock bottom. That could be the solid foundation that you start from. Assess the situation. Where have I gone wrong? What could I do better? This is going to be the firm foundation that I build on. And when I look back and I see where we were and where we were emotionally that would cause us to throw our rings out there, that's some tough stuff. We were in a tough spot. Right. But look at where we're today. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep pressing on. Wow. And you're gonna be able to make it. And that's what I want to leave with the audience. Don't give up. Have faith.
Rita, did you want to have anything, close on out with anything? Or just amen?
Man, I think amen. I feel like he wrapped it up. And I just want to say, though, when I said, I said, you're going to say Jesus. And it's like this running joke between us in our marriage because he's always been very, very spiritual minded. Well, I've always been very, very business minded. And obviously I want to see Jesus one day too. But, it has actually really helped balance, balance each other. And, it's true. I could say Oprah, I could say Michelle Obama, I could say all these other people, but none of them have helped me to where I am right now. It's all been God. It's all been Jesus. Because if there's any lessons I learned, it's because of him. If there's been any blessings that I've received, it's because of him. The fact that we're able to our marriage has stayed together, and we've gone through a lot. We've gone through life and death situations. We've gone through so many different things. It's all been because of God. Yeshua. And so, all praise, glory, honor to him. And so, ultimately, I pray one day that I will get to see him face to face. And then we don't have to worry about the weekends anymore. We don't even have to worry about building up a brand anymore. I just want to just be able to live forever one day and just have this all be a distant memory.
Man, that's powerful. I want to thank you guys so much for sharing your story and your testimony, because that's really what it is. We really appreciate the transparency, and that's something I preach on my show too. Hey, I'm not a guru. I've almost lost it all twice. Been blessed to be able to build 2 different multimillion-dollar businesses, but there were ups and downs all through that journey. And I appreciate you guys sharing with the BEB family. That was an amazing interview with Mirthell and Rita Onyx of onyxfamily.com. Guys, please make sure you check out all of their content on the website and support them like we do all the guests here on Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Now, before I give my takeaways, I just want to share real quick my contact information and resource links. Now, everything I'm about to tell you, you can find on the website at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. So I mentioned at the top of the show, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can go to anewblackwallstreet.com, pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 print version, $9.95 digital. Once again, it is also on the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. I also mentioned my 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. So if you are a Black product producer and you want to sell your product to Black consumers, upload your product information to BeSmartByBlack.com. It is free, and you can connect with Black consumers worldwide to sell your products. Now, I didn't forget about you freelancers. If you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, upload your information to HireBlackFreelancers.com. Once again, it is also free, and you can connect with Black consumers and Black business owners that want to hire Black freelancers. Now, I mentioned also at the top of the show, my new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy. You get 3 days free access. Go to BEBacademy.com and elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Also, if you're interested in building an e-commerce brand, physical product brand, or digital products brand, go to BBAelite.com. Once again, all of this is under courses and learning on the website. Now, if you want to connect with me, anything long, family, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter, jjones001, Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts, jjones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4 REAL, and also Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Also YouTube, guys, go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Today's show is live on YouTube. You'll be able to watch the video if you want to. Don't forget, if you're on Clubhouse, I'm at I am J Jones, LinkedIn, J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And also don't forget my new companion show, Ask J Live. Just go to askjlive.com. Once again, guys, everything I just said is on the website. Go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com and get all of your resources to help build, scale, and grow your business. Now, let's get to the takeaways of today's show, and I'm going to keep it brief. So the first thing that you want to focus on, guys, and what I really loved about this is Mirthell and Rita, they focused on their gifts. And I always talk about pinpoint and monetize your genius. And your genius is the intersection of your passion and your talent. And that's exactly what they did with themselves and their children. And they built a multi-million-dollar media company and business. And the reason that they're so successful, or one of the reasons is because they're doing what comes natural to them. So I want to remind you guys, if you're listening to this, I'm doing a promo right now on the course, Pinpoint and Monetize Your Genius. Just go to bebgenius.com, bebgenius.com, and enroll in Pinpoint and Monetize Your Genius, and then use the coupon code GENIUS97, and the course will only be $97. Normally it's $247, but I'm doing a promotion where it is only $97, and that's for the first 10 people that use the coupon code. So if you go to bebgenius.com and for some reason the coupon code isn't working, that means that you were not one of the first 10. And I'm telling you guys, the highest form of entrepreneurship is being able to live in your genius. And that was one of the questions I asked Mirthell and Rita in today's show. And when you get to that point, it's literally nothing that I can explain to you in terms of how that feels. It's living in your purpose. It's waking up every morning excited to do what you've been assigned to do. And so that's why if you're interested in the course or living in your genius, which I think should be the penultimate goal for everybody, all money isn't good money. You want to make money by doing something that you love and something that you have a gift in. But the problem is most people can't monetize it. So make sure you go to bebgenius.com and use coupon code GENIUS97. Another quick takeaway is when Mirthell and Rita talked about losing their home and their car, and they actually had to live separately for a minute so they could get everything back together. And what I want you guys to understand is when you become an entrepreneur, or if you currently are an entrepreneur, you're going to have trials and tribulations. The key is, are you going to be able to stick it through? And one of the things that makes you stick it through is when you're doing something that you enjoy doing and something that you're passionate about and are talented in. And so if you're doing something that you don't really care about and you're just chasing the paper, many times when times get hard, all you're going to do is basically go try to find another way to chase paper as opposed to focus on your purpose. That's why Pinpoint and Monetize Your Genius is one of the best courses out there that I've ever created. And it's probably the most impactful course because it helps you align what's in you and it helps you monetize that and allow you to be able to live in your genius. And the last thing I wanted to share in terms of my takeaways was being able to create a platform. And I always talk about that. So when Mirthell and Rita spoke about their platform and their ecosystem, you can go on their website and you can see the plethora of content that they have and also of offers that they have. And it's all made possible because they have a platform. People can go to the website and see the platform. They can buy the books. They can watch the YouTube shows. They can actually watch the cartoons. They can actually listen to the music. So it's all about building a platform, guys. The faster you guys understand that and really implement that in your businesses, the better off you're going to be. Now, as I say each and every week, guys, we get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the new website, the resource for Black entrepreneurs at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, and also the BEB ecosystem. You know, we drop every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major platforms and YouTube. And once again, guys, we couldn't do it without you. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, the website, the ecosystem. And remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.